So why is it so challenging for Americans as a group to save? We're one of the richest countries in the world, but if you look at how much we save relative to what the value of the goods and services that we produce, some known as gross domestic product, we're one of the lowest saving countries in the developed world. We're at 1.5%. And to put that in comparison, Mexico is almost at 5%. And Denmark, believe it or not, is at 22%, right? So there's big swings in how much we're saving. And so today I want to talk about that and how this relates to all of us is, the headwinds that we as a country are facing are the things that you and I are facing as well, right? And so the first one, and several of these are going to be controversial, but the first one I want to talk about is just, the cost of our housing has just risen so dramatically. If you look at the mid 1960s, the average house in inflation, in today's dollars, and inflation adjusted, these are today's dollars. In the mid 1960s, the average house cost $172,000, and the median wage in the country in today's dollars was $60,000, the median household. I should say median household income. So it took the average household, a little under 3 years of 100% of their wages going to buy a house. And if you fast forward to today, the median house is $375,000, and the median household wage earnings is $70,000. So we've gone from taking 3 times what our wages, our full household wage to pay for a house. It's almost doubled. It's gone from 3 times, 3 years worth of our salary, our wages, to 5 times, right? And that's a big jump. And, that's taken a huge toll, right? The reality is housing is expensive. Rents have gone up. It's getting harder and harder. It's even harder now to qualify for a loan with interest rates up. There's a lot of people that just cannot qualify for a loan large enough to buy the type of house, even a starter house that many of my viewers, myself in that group as well, bought for our first home back in the day when we started. So it's much more difficult now. Okay, so that's one, is just the price of housing. The other one, and it's kind of illustrated with the price of housing, is unfortunately the median wage in the country hasn't done that well. It hasn't kept up as well with inflation. Certainly the top quartile of Americans are doing better and are beating inflation by a lot. But in general, the lower 50% is basically keeping up with inflation and just beating it a little bit. As I showed, the numbers in the mid 1960s was 60,000. Now it's 70,000 median household income. That's not a lot of growth there, right? Probably in that same time period, the upper quartile has done quite a bit better than that, right? So one is just the wages. The wages have been held down. Why have the wages been held down? There's a number of factors on that. One is it's a very global competitive world. And this is not a political channel, but there are political reasons for that as well. And I think the hearts of both parties want to see the American middle class continue to thrive and to continue to do well. Okay, so another thing that's making it harder for people to save is there's less on-the-job training now than there was in my father's era, right? Now, a lot of jobs require a college education, where in my father's day, you could get a good paying job and they would teach you the skills that they needed you to have on the job. But now a lot of folks are expected to come in with that base skill level and haven't gone to college. And, we looked at the cost of housing versus inflation. Same thing, and probably worse when it comes to education, right? The cost of education, as we all know, has really skyrocketed. And for me, when I was going to college, a good summer job could put a nice dent in a state college's tuition for the year. Maybe not handle all of it, but it was possible. And in today's world, it's just so much more difficult to do that. So people come out with debt, and so then there's, it takes longer until you can start working because you went to college, and then college is expensive. Now the trade schools there's a shortage of craftspeople, of journeymen, and for instance, like to be a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter, you get paid while you're being trained to do that job. It's hard work, it's important work. The nation, there's a shortage of all those crafts, and the nation needs those folks. So one solution is, consider the crafts. There's multiple routes to helping you live your best life. So, and another one is consider leveling up your skills with something short of a 4-year degree, right? I went to college. It was the right thing for me to do, but for a lot of folks, they don't want to do that. And if you don't want to do that, there should be other routes, other avenues to increasing your pay. For instance, when my daughter was working a minimum wage job, for less than $1,500, she took a course that was less than 6 weeks on how to become a certified nursing assistant, a CNA. And she did those classes part-time. So that was a great return for her because she was making, let's call it $8 to $10 an hour. And then as a CNA, she was making closer to $25 an hour, $22, $23 an hour. I think at the end, she was making closer to $25 an hour. So that's a huge return on investment. And then you can take those extra dollars and get additional skills on top of that, right? And I basically, outside of college, where really college is, it's a life experience and it's also a certification, right? You get a piece of paper with your name on it that, right or wrong, is really important to employers, right? But outside of the college experience, you can learn a lot of skills where the information is free, either through YouTube videos or podcasts or audibles, which are very inexpensive. I use a platform called Udemy, Udemy, udemy.com. Coursera is a place that has top tier universities that will put their courses online for free, so you can get the information. You won't get the certification, you won't get the diploma, but you can get the information. And then if you say, okay, I'm going in, I need to really master this skill, then for me personally, then I'm willing to pay for teaching me how to execute on it, teaching me how to implement on this skill set. But first I jump in and I listen to podcasts, I read some $20 books, watch a lot of YouTube, get the information, and then only when I'm sure that this is something I want to take the leap, then I pay for somebody to help me with the execution. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, I know you'll enjoy this video here that talks about average income for retirees, and this video down here that talks about 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.